Hey, this is the house where I grew up. As it looked, as close as it looked to late summer of 1967, 68 as possible. This is after we'd moved in and Mom and Daddy put their own stamps on it without really destroying the look of it or anything, because they didn't do that. I will say that in 65 we had to enlarge the unfinished attic into bedroom space because we had 4 children at home and we needed that space. And Mom had to move her. Mom didn't have to. Mom decided to move her beauty parlor downtown, on which she was paying rent. She decided to have that moved into the front room of her house, which worked out better for everybody. She never had over 2 customers in her time. There was plenty of parking, and it was really fun. And anyway, now where? Okay, let me see. So the thing about it is, the house fell into disrepair because my parents had it for 50 years and they got really elderly. My mom got dementia. My dad got very enfeebled by age. And, they didn't have any money. And and Daddy would just say, it's fine the way it is, the thing about it is, I was feeling really bad about the house even before Mom and Daddy left it. And it was one time there was talk about, well, hell, I'll give it to you. And I'm like, I don't need a house in Bloomfield, Kentucky. Because I guarantee you the roof will blow off when I can't afford to replace a roof in Bloomfield, Kentucky, and I'll be here in Hollywood, California. No, I'm not that person who's going to buy that home back home to go to as a retreat. But anyway, isn't this sweet? So they remodeled it really hardcore in 70. But Mom immediately started putting partitions in. She loved partitions. And the partitions that she put in actually made sense, even if they did cut up the space a little bit. They always did, they made sense. They weren't horrible. But the thing is, I thought surely because the house sold at auction very quickly because Daddy needed to cut and run. He needed to move to Texas to be with my sister, and he didn't really care. He just wanted to liquidate, but we had no dream that it would bring as little as it brought. But it was bought by someone who had a great plan for it. She was a retiree, and she was the niece, but more like a sister to the next door neighbor. And she bought the house to keep it from turning into what we like to call white trash rental. And I'm sorry, I hope that doesn't get banned. It's just, no person in particular, but it had happened on our street several times. Buy a house and then just start renting it out to lowlifes who cause trouble on the street and stuff. So the woman who bought it said, I'm going to buy it. And I tell you what, I will rent it out for a couple of years because I'm waiting for my granddaughter to graduate from high school. But after she goes to college, I'm going to fix that house up for me, and I'm going to move up there and live next door to my sister, and we're just going to be the Snoop sisters and just have a really good old retirement time. Well, it didn't happen because she bought it, and a few months later she died. So nobody was ever going to move into it. Then it was just her kids inherited it, and they said, well, Mom bought this house, big cash cow, let's just milk it. Let's just rent it. We don't live in that town. Let's just rent it to whoever wants it. Just get out of it what you can. And that's what they did for 10 years. And then, it became people were renting it. They were parking on the front yard, changing the oil on the front yard. One time somebody took a picture, drove by and said, I'm sorry, I shouldn't show you this, but I just had to. Look at this dirty old kerosene heater sitting in the middle of your daddy's sidewalk here in Bloomfield. He would die if he saw how dirty these people were. Anyway, I had no hopes for it, no dreams for it. And the last that I saw it, because it had been rented to real low lodge. I'm Snoopy. You can easily go on Facebook, and if you see one picture that looks familiar, you can find it. I didn't go, but it just happened, because I'm on lots of social sites from my hometown. If I see a picture like, hey, that looks like the same from my backyard, then I go, okay, who is this person? And then I look. Very rare. Occasionally, you'll see a picture of them in the house, and you're like, oh, that's so sad, because Mama was such a good decorator for Christmas, and you all aren't very good. But anyway, just sliding. It was just sliding down the mud hill just as fast as it could go, and I truly thought it ended up burning down. And it actually, the people moved in to fix it up in lieu of rent, and they had high hopes. And the first thing they did was replace the front porch that needed to be replaced. But they did it in such a tacky, cheap manner, and They put a porch on it that looks like it was like a, I don't know, a monkey bars set from a playground. You know how they got those things you climb on, and that's what the front porch looked like. When I lived there, it had 3 Tuscan columns, gorgeous sawn balustrade. Anyway, whatever. I just thought she's a goner. And then my best friend this weekend was back home, and he said, "Listen, we drove up White City. Your mom and dad's house is for sale, and it looks like somebody's really put some serious effort into making it look good again." And I said, "Oh my God," because the people who lived there had just said, "I think I'll paint this front door light blue with big white squares on it. Pick it out, make it like a painted lady." They also had a big motion detector light right up in the middle of the front porch roof, looking out over everybody to make sure nobody's gonna come in here and steal their stuff. Anyway, I was like, "Well, let me see here," and I type in the address, and the ad comes up, and the house has been flipped. It has been the house has been brought up to date. We're going to say that. We're not saying the house not even actually worth calling restoration on a house like this, but it has been updated. It has been updated thoughtfully by a flipper who knew what he or she or they was doing, because they did not in any way impede the natural bones of the house. They did not add bad taste to the house. They carpeted all the floors because some were real good wood and some had been covered in tile. They carpeted them all so that the person who sees it falls in love with it and then buys it can deal with it. They can use the carpet if they want, or they can peel them back and see that there were some really beautiful floors in there that Mom redid in the early 60s and always maintained. But just made me feel so good to see inside and see that all the spaces remained. And do you know what? All of my mom's alterations that did change the layout, that did alter the layout a bit, and they were smart, they all remained. Everything my mom did remained. The kitchen had been completely redone with all white. I don't care about the taste level of it. It had a nice tile floor put down where we had always had linoleum, of course. And all of the cabinets that my mom had designed and sketched out and had Mr. Hahn across the street make for us in 1971, they were gone. And I expected that because last time I was home, I was like, these old cabinets, they did so good, but it's time to move on. God, we need to do something. But anyway, every cabinet, every appliance was exactly where our cabinets and appliances were. There were some changes. They eliminated a couple things. They eliminated Mom's floor-to-ceiling spice rack that she loved so much. But the pass-through window to the utility room was still there. The refrigerator's going to be in the same spot. The stove in the same spot. The sink's the same. I'm glad they didn't choose to do those granite countertops. They did what was appropriate for the house, which looks to be some sort of marbly patterned formica, which is best for most houses. Because if you've got an old house from 1908 and it's, you don't put, no. Anyway, I'm going to, anyway, the thing about it was just so sweet. What remained? It's like everything had been gone over and refreshing, but some things had not been touched and remained, and they weren't in bad shape. Like upstairs, our railings, our spindled railings, balustrade upstairs, that we added the second floor. We needed those, and my dad's friend, Elsie Gohagen, had my great-grandparents, had those that had been salvaged from my great-grandparents' house in Maple Hill in Bardstown when it was demolished in the late 50s, early 60s, right there. Probably early 60s. Their house stood exactly where that Stephen Foster restaurant stood, and from there to the street was their big, shady front yard. Anyway, they weren't rich or anything, but that was rescued from them, so I always felt like that. But the thing is, when they put it in, my mom didn't really know what to do, so she just had them painted really heavy, a hardcore medium brown oil paint. And in her head, she thought, well, that's the closest to to the wood that it originally was, but she wasn't an interior designer or anything. There's still that same coat of paint from 1966 is on there. That it was untouched. They carpeted. They drywalled places that had not been drywalled, which was fantastic because, you know, and there was a big paneled den, and I had gone home, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago, and spent an entire vacation there remodeling that den just because it was really dark and 70s, and I wanted it to be light and refreshing for Mama because she was still home, and I thought she was going through depression from lack of sunlight and sitting in that dark room watching TV all the time. So I painted a sweet light green, and I added one of those fake tin ceilings to the ceiling because it was kind of in bad shape. That all remains. And the mantelpiece in that room, in 1971, when my mom put that paneling in there, she painted that mantelpiece black, and she painted the hearth black, but again, with that oil paint that just would go nowhere. And so when I painted the room, I had to prime out that mantelpiece and to paint it the color of the walls, to paint it light again. But I left, when Mom did it in 71, she found a real pretty gold marble contact paper that she perfectly put on the fireplace surround, right around the cast iron coal grate and surround. It looked exactly like real marble. It remains. The hearth painted black. The hearths, 2 hearths she painted black after the fireplaces didn't work. They remain. It's like her partition the partition in the Wild West bathroom that was, it was a little much even in its day. That was gone, but to see the whole bathroom redone, and honey, everything was, the lavatory was where the lavatory was. The tub was where the tub was. The toilet was where the toilet was. They did something odd. They took the door off of the closet and made that an open space. I don't know. It's a wet bar, something in there. But anyway, I don't disagree with anything they did, including the carpet, because, like I said, you do that saying, let's just get it looking really good and showing all the potential that it has. All of the woodwork is sparkling white and pristine, with the exception of that what am I saying? Anyway, all the woodwork has been painted sparkling white. All the walls are identical gray in every room. But I tell you, I don't hate it. I don't hate gray. I don't. People hate it because people with bad taste got a hold of it, and they just put it everywhere, and you started seeing it in these. I'm sorry. If you put down a vinyl floor that's like gray, wood grain, you're doing something that's very trendy and popular that you're going to hate, because that's heinous. You have destroyed the floors beneath those floors, and those floors will forever have to have something glued to them. Also, even brand new, those look bad because people who know what looks good go, oh, those look bad. There is no pure gray wood. None. No farm. Oh, well, no. I grew up around barns and barnwoods and those awful barnwood dens everybody had to put in their houses. No, it's not that color. It's not like, ooh, pale gray. But here's the thing. Gray has, when gray's done well, it's the most beautiful thing you ever saw in your life, right? I'm not saying that my mom and dad's house is like that, but so many of the early memories I have of the house is all just light and shadows and space. And that gray just made it all pop. It's like, I looked at the pictures of those rooms and had memories that I had not had for decades about the spaces, because they kind of, I don't know. I'm just going to tell you, it felt good, because nothing suckier than to find out that your childhood home was either torn down or just fell into just trashy disrepair. And it happens all the time. And I have a really smart friend who said, look, I know we all hate that, but you know, you just have to think of your childhood home as a corpse now. It was alive when you were there, and it's gone now. Just don't, it's not the place. And I thought, that is so smart, but the thing is, it is the place. I don't know what they did, but even like the backyard had been all junked up. It's all clean. It's got a fire pit out there. They didn't do anything really. It needs landscaping. I will say that. I'm going to talk for 15 minutes, which is just 30 more seconds. Daddy was not big on landscaping, and when we moved in, it had all these beautiful remaining bushes and flowers and trees, and he immediately set to getting rid of all those. And by the time his last year's there was There were 2 trees on the actual property. There were some that were in the fence row that belonged to him and the neighbors that he couldn't just cut down, but he got rid of everything that you had to mow around at some point. But that's okay, because you know what? The house is sitting there waiting for somebody else to fall in love with it. And I don't want to see it anymore, because I kept those pictures, and I'm going to keep them, and I'm not going to snoop anymore, because somebody's sure to buy that house and say, oh, I hate this carpet. Let's tear it up and put down some of them gray vinyl fake wood floors. They'll do that, but I didn't have to witness it. I just see it looking as fine as I ever knew it to look. And that makes me happy. Bye.